Oh, you guys want to bring it today. Is that how this is going to be? It's interesting. I'm not a big believer in coincidences. I'm just not, right? I don't know about your guys' stories. I don't know a lot of you, but at least in my life, there's not a lot of things that were really, truly coincidence. I believe that the world has a funny way of putting certain things in your life at certain times when you need those things to come into your life, right? Sometimes those things are people, right? Sometimes a person gets introduced to your life at a certain point in time, and maybe at that point in time, you don't even know why they were put there, but later on, you get that, aha, that's why I met that person. How many of you guys have people in your life like that, right? Sometimes life has a funny way of putting, obstacles or challenges in front of us at the very time that, maybe when we're going through, we don't want to deal with, but later you realize, wow, me going through that made me stronger. How many of you guys have extracted lessons from some of those points in life, right? So whether they come in the form of people or they come in the form of obstacles or they come in the form of opportunity, it's interesting that life has a funny way of opening doors just when you need that door to crack open. And I don't know about you guys, but if you ignore the door, then it comes back around again later, right? And if you ignore the door again, then it comes back around a little bit bigger later. And if you ignore it again, pretty soon you got life smacking you upside the head and say, pay attention. Any of you guys have that experience before? It's interesting. In December, I got a phone call from one of my longtime mentors, someone that was the original personal growth mentor in mine and actually Nick's life, Nick Sarnicola, my partner, fellow co-founder. And we were 18, 19 years old when we first met this individual. And, there's not many rooms that I could reference his name, but actually looking around, there's a couple people that have had a chance to meet Ridgely. Some of you guys know. My friend's name, old mentor's name is Ridgely. And he calls me in the month of December, and he's like, I want to fly out to have dinner with you. And I'm like, oh, yeah, that's great. You live in Florida, buddy. I'm in LA. But, hey, let's do dinner. Let's catch up. It's always inspirational, always like connecting. I haven't talked with him for a couple years. And he says, I want to fly out and have a conversation with you. I said, okay, great. So he flies from Florida to California to have a dinner with me. And he's sitting down. I'm like, what's this about? What is all this about? And he sits down with me and he goes like, bro, because that's how he talks. He's like, bro. And he goes into and talks about how he started doing work with this guy named Simon, and he's really passionate about this philosophy, and he goes into a little bit of this concept of, why and understanding why we do what we do can make a dramatic impact on a lot of people. And so I left that meeting, and I believe the world gives you those doors for reasons at some time. So I leave that meeting, I go do some homework, start watching videos on this guy named Simon. I go find a couple of his books, and it was an interesting, and I drew some inspiration from it. I'll share with you guys a quote that I got out of one of the books that my old mentor's friend wrote, Simon. He said, people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. People don't buy what you do. They buy why you do it. And it was interesting, simple philosophy. I spent some time kind of thinking about this, and I want to talk to you guys today a little bit about why. Is that okay with all of you? Is that okay with all of you? How many of you guys like to travel? Where's one place you want to go? 1, 2, 3, go. One of the things I love about this business is like we get to keep expanding and we get to start traveling. How many of you guys are excited to build your VI empire to the point you can travel all around the world, taking a weight off the world, right? And it's interesting. I've obviously spent a lot of time in Europe, where we expanded in the UK. UK just had a rocking launch event, 2,000 crazy Brits. I was out there 2 weeks ago over the pond. And on fire, obviously, we just launched Germany and Austria. We might launch 4 more countries in Europe this year. I didn't say that. Are you guys awake? Come on, you guys got to keep up here. You got to keep up here. Okay, so what I love about going to Europe is you can walk around Europe and there's like rocks on the side of the road that are older than our entire country. No, I'm like walking around London, like literally just walking from dinner to a hotel, and like, there's a sign on the wall. It's like, Benjamin Franklin's house. I'm like, I just walked by Benjamin Franklin's old house, and it's like, there's nothing there. It's just an old sign, like, okay. But you go to these places, you gain this perspective, right? You stand and, how many of you guys have stood inside the Coliseum before, right? You guys got to add these to your list. And, it's interesting. But anyway, I love the fact you're able to travel. I want you guys to flash back real quick. Let's go decades. Now let's go centuries. Let's go centuries back. Centuries back. Let's go to the time where people had to build these structures out of stone. And we're walking by, and let's go back into that moment, right, where someone is building, right, a team of people are building these massive structures out of these giant, giant stones. And let's put yourself in that moment real quick. And you're walking around, and you see these people working and laboring, and you come across one of these stonemasons, and you ask them a really simple question. And the question you ask a stonemason is, "Excuse me, Mr. Stonemason, do you like your job?" And the stonemason stops what he's doing for a minute, and he looks up at you, and he gives you kind of this scowl. "Do I like my job? I've been doing the same thing every day for as long as I can remember. I sit out here in the scorching hot sun, lifting these extremely heavy pieces of rock. This is backbreaking. This is monotonous. I don't even know if this project is going to be finished in my lifetime. But it's a job, and I guess it pays the bills." Interesting reaction from the stonemason. But anyway, you're curious, so you're walking around, and you go down about 30 feet beyond where that stonemason is working, and over here you find another stonemason, and you ask him the same question. You say, "Excuse me, Mr. Stonemason, do you like your..." But this stonemason stops, looks up at you, different energy before he replies, and he says, "I'm building a cathedral. Sure, I have been doing the same thing for as long as I can remember, and on some days it can be really, really scorching hot outside. These things are heavy. It can be back-breaking work, and sure, it can get a little monotonous, and to be honest, I don't even know if this will be finished in my lifetime. But I'm building a cathedral." Does that feel different? Does that feel different? Almost the same answer. Little different feeling. You guys ever been on a blind date? No, like who's actually been on a blind date before? It's okay, you can admit it, you can admit it, you can admit it, you can admit it. You guys don't? You are not kidding me. I know why half of you guys came down. You're like, the rumor's out, right? We're the community that gets better looking every 90 days. Right? I heard about this movement of people. They get sexier every 90 days. Like, you guys don't fool me. I know why half of you are here. Okay, so blind date people, right? So let's go on a blind date. Ladies, what should our guy's name be? Fred? Okay, we'll go with Fred. Okay, so she said that with like such assertiveness. I don't know if Fred's sitting next to her or Fred was a really bad blind date she had once, but let's go. So ladies, we're on a blind date with, what's his name? Fred. So we're sitting down. This place is gorgeous. We're at a nice restaurant, blind date, got set up, don't know how this is going to go. And we're sitting down. What's his name? And Fred starts the conversation. "Well, actually, I make a lot of money. I have a nice house. I drive a nice car. I know a lot of famous people. I'm actually on TV all the time, which is pretty good because I'm actually pretty good looking. I've done very well for myself. Ladies, what do you think? What do you think? What do you think? How many of you guys just got up and left the table? Ladies? Why are more guys taking notes right now than they were a minute ago? Okay, wait. Let's give Fred another chance. Okay, Fred, another chance. Same restaurant, same setting, same blind date. What's his name? Fred starts the conversation. You know what? I'm grateful. I'm grateful because I get to do what I love every day. I get to wake up every day and try to inspire people to go do things that inspire them. And I'm just grateful because in doing what I love, I've actually managed to do pretty well. You know, I got a nice house, I got a nice car. You know, I've happened to meet a lot of famous people, and they even put me on TV sometimes, which is kind of cool because I think I'm kind of good looking. But I'm just grateful that in doing what I love, I've been able to make a pretty good living out of it. Ladies, what do we think? Are we going to give Fred another chance? Or are we going to give Fred another chance? Same answer. Almost. Different feeling. Some of you ladies are like, wait, what kind of car does he drive? Yeah. You guys know I'm a marketing person, right? I love studying brands that have managed to go out there and create connection with their products or their marketing beyond what other brands in the same category have been able to do. And, you know, I'm a big fan of Jobs. I'm a big fan of Apple. Any Apple fans in the room here, right? And what was the first kind of product, Apple? Medivo, we will go into that later in this conversation. You had to be in the RD meeting last night. Don't miss RD meetings. You miss out on inside jokes. Okay. It was a computer, right? Apple started as a computer company. And if you were Apple Computer and you were to design an advertisement around the same structure or same flow as traditional computer companies, the Dells of the world, the HPs of the world, your advertisement might go something like this. Here at Apple, we make good computers. They're beautifully designed, simple to use, user-friendly. Want to buy one? Pretty standard ad. Something you might expect to see from maybe another computer company, but you would never see that ad from a company like Apple. I challenge you guys to study what they've been able to do. Matter of fact, I dug up one of their old advertisements.
Here's to the crazy ones, the misfits, the rebels, the troublemakers, the round pegs in the square holes, the ones who see things differently. They're not fond of rules, and they have no respect for the status quo. You can quote them, disagree with them, glorify or vilify them. About the only thing you can't do is ignore them, because they change things. They push the human race forward. While some may see them as the crazy ones, we see genius. Because the people who are crazy enough to think they can change the world are the ones who do.
What does that have to do with a freaking computer? What does that have to do with the computer? You guys see, when it comes to how we choose to communicate, you can talk about the what, the things that we have. You can talk about the how, the actions that we take, or you can talk about the purpose, the cause, the belief. In all three of those stories that I gave you, I said the same thing. Just in the first version of each of those stories, I started from the outside in. I first told you what, then I told you how, and I touched on why. But the second version of each of those stories, instead of going from the outside in, I went from the inside out. And I started with the, and by simply starting with the why, the feeling that was conveyed was dramatically different. Study inspirational leaders. Study some of the people whose names, guys, are tied to massive movements and causes. Study successful brands. Study companies that have gone out there and created connection beyond their product. Every single one of them have the same thing in common. They all start with why. You guys, here at Vi, we got some of the best what's in the world. We do. How many guys would agree that our products are pretty darn good? How many guys like the compensation plan, right? Hey, 18,000 BMWs, 34 millionaires, $600 million paid. He just say that? Yeah, I just said that. We paid $600 million in our compensation plan. Our tools, our technology, all the things you've heard all day long. I will put our what's up against anybody else in this industry. We got amazing what's. And you know what? Our how is what made us who we are. Our how's our challenge. We challenge people. And the little adjustment in the how, that we challenge people. We don't sell. We what? Challenge. You guys, it's revolutionary. But I'd go so far to say that even with all the amazing what's, and even with literally a transformational how, if you want to build a massive organization, how many of you guys plan on building a massive organization with Vi? How many of you guys plan on building an organization where you have people eventually in countries you've never been to that speak languages you don't even speak? Anybody? You guys, I challenge you then to start with why. Why? Why? I was in Toronto last weekend for an event like this. I told some of our, was that my new regional director out there in Toronto? How'd I know it was you, man? I met this gentleman last week. He just enrolled in the challenge on what date? January 18th, Project 10 Challenge, brand new regional director. Give him a big round of applause. And we were in Toronto last week, and I was sitting back there just like I was earlier today, and in the middle of the event, one of the promoters walks up to me, a promoter named Nathan. He walks up to me, he's wearing his I Lost It shirt like a lot of you guys here, and he walks up, smile, ear to ear, just completely gleaming. And in his hand, he has this giant before photo. I don't know if he carries that around everywhere he goes or what the deal is. Thing wasn't even crinkled, right? I mean, this thing was big. And he walks up to me and he said, I just want to thank you. You changed my life. And then he goes on to tell a story about how 12 months ago he took his 5 children to a theme park for the very first time. And how he was excited to take his kids to a theme park for the very first time. And when he went to the theme park, although his kids had fun, he couldn't go on any of the rides because he had a 56-inch waist and they wouldn't let him ride the rides with his kids. But Nathan was excited because a couple weeks ago he went back to the same theme park with the same 5 kids. 97 pounds later, 4 challenges later, 32-inch later, he went on every single one of the rides with his kids. Stories like Nathan are why we do what we do. I said, good job, buddy. I challenge you to cross the 100-pound mark. He hit me yesterday on my Facebook page. Sure enough, there's a post from Nathan, across to the Century Club 100 pounds. Right? Where's Jeremy at? Jeremy, the gentleman that pulled me aside. I'm sitting back there not an hour ago. Never met Jeremy before. Jeremy didn't know my story about Nathan. Jeremy walks up there, and the first thing that Jeremy says is, "Thank you. You changed my life." And Jeremy tells me a story, and correct me if my facts are wrong, but 15 months ago, you were how much weight up? 101 pounds 15 months ago. 15 months ago, the Jeremy you see here was 101 pounds heavier. He was walking around in a walker because Jeremy was in a car accident. Car accident put him in a walker. The walker put on a bunch of weight. He was walking around. I think you refer to yourself as a walking zombie, is what you just told me. Here he is 15 months later, down 101 pounds, right? 101 pounds. Where's my airport buddy? Is Mike in the room? There's my airport buddy. So I'm walking around, and yesterday I was flying up from LAX, and I see this neon green shirt just like strutting through the airport, right? I'm like, I spy a vi guy. Here we go. Back of his shirt's like, "I can change your life in 90 days. Ask me how." And he's just walking around like swagger. He catches me out of the corner of his eye. He's like, triple take. Hey! First time I met Mike, right? Told me a story. Active military down in the San Diego area. The guy drives hovercrafts for a living, right? And I just sat there, and he doesn't know that I was thinking about this, but I'm watching this guy all by himself. Made the trek from San Diego, jumped on a plane, connected in LA, flew up here all by himself. I think he's a director right now, right? Director in our company, new to promoting the challenge, right? You guys, I've done this for a long time. I'm walking around, I see a guy like that that's willing to fly by himself, right? City to city to city, to be here, to invest in himself because he wants a change for himself and his future family. Stories like Mike are why we do what we do. You guys, I can go all day long, right? Every single one of you have your own story, your own reason why we are here. At the end of the day, Vi was built to transform lives. That's why we were built. Yes, we have amazing what's. Yes, our how is revolutionary, but why is what's important. We were built to transform lives. We were built to go out there and challenge conventional thinking around the pillars that make up Visalis. Challenge conventional thinking, the systems and the structures around life, around health, and around prosperity. Because the reality is, guys, the structures and systems that most people are operating in, they do not facilitate the life that most people want. Most people are surrounded by environments that keep them down, that tell them why they can't, that tell them why it isn't possible. And here you got people sitting all around you, whether you know them or not. You got people that believe you can, that believe that it is what? Possible. The traditional systems and structures, the conventional thinking around health, guys, it's gotten us to a point where we're eating ourselves to death. People don't have the education. People don't have the resources. People don't know. And we're on a mission to go out there and give people something that matches today's lifestyle, something that's simple, something that's affordable, something that works, something that can allow the average person to make their health a priority. Prosperity. Money is the root of all. Money doesn't grow on. Takes money to. You guys have the same family that I grew up in? We're brought up in environments, guys, where we're taught certain thinking that quite frankly isn't true and isn't going to be the same level of thinking that gets you to where you want to go. You guys, Vi was created to challenge all of those systems and structures and create an environment that allows people to think differently, do differently, therefore achieve differently. That's why Vi. How many guys could believe in that mission by a show of hands? Now you guys are all feeling good about yourself. Yeah, that's why I joined this company. Yeah, that's why I'm a promoter. That's why I'm a part. Yeah, that's what I saw. You guys see, the key is aligning your personal reason why with a vehicle. The reason myself, Nick, and Ryan have had such a dynamic partnership, no matter what we go through, no matter what challenge, right, gets presented, the reason we've been able to stay together is each of us found a way to align what we were passionate about as individuals with a vehicle called Vi. You guys have all heard, a lot of you have probably heard our CEO's story. And how many of you guys agree that Ryan's story is a pretty inspirational story, right? And you hear him speak, or you read his book, or you watch his documentary, you know without a shadow of a doubt that he was put on this earth to get the point across that no matter what obstacle you get, obstacles can become opportunity. No matter what your disadvantage is, your disadvantages could become your advantages. And that's his personal mission. That's what he believes he was put on this planet for. And he's found a way to tie that into Vi. You guys have all heard, probably Nick Sarnicola, my other co-founder. You've heard him share his story. You hear him share his story, you know that he detests the middle class. He wants to do everything in his power to defy the middle class thinking and show people there is another way. He found a way to tie his why with Vi. For those of you guys that don't know my entire story, my story is my entire life just did what I was supposed to do. Always taught, right, that in order to be, successful, you have to be smart. In order to get the good job, you got to get good grades. How many of you guys were taught this stuff growing up, right? And so I did it. I'm the one that you can still walk into my elementary school and still see my name on a plaque as the outstanding 6th grader. You can still walk into my high school and see my name on a plaque as the student body president. I graduated there with a 4.2 GPA. Went to one of the top 6 universities in the country. I graduated with degrees in political science, emphasis in public law, and a minor in psychology. I did that with Latin honors cum laude in a total of 3 years. Yeah, you say, wow. I say, why? Why? Because that's what I thought I was supposed to do. Because that was the conventional thinking that was pushed upon me growing up. And then all of a sudden I got introduced to an environment where I realized a lot of that was a lie. How many of you guys know right now some really, really, really smart, highly educated, broke people? How many of you guys know some really dumb rich people? No pointing, no pointing, no pointing, no pointing. We're taught all this stuff. Smart equals wealth, grades equal this. It doesn't mean anything. I found a way to tie my why to Vi. You guys see, when what you do and how you do it aligns with why you're doing it, and you're able to find that vehicle, guys, I'm telling you, nothing stops you. Nothing stops you. People want to be inspired. And when you're congruent, when you're in alignment, when you know what you do every day is in line with why you're here, you guys, I'm telling you, people will listen to anything you have to say. They will follow you till the end of the earth. You will earn the right to inspire when you figure out this equation. It takes time. It takes time. It takes time. I started this process when I was 18. I get to tell this story, and there's one person in the room that was there with me. There's never one person in the room that was there with me, but I think I saw Jake Trzynski in the room at some point. Where's Jake? Jake, right? Jake's sitting there. Jake is the only one in the room that can validate this story. 18, 19 years old, got introduced to this industry. Was told that I got to go to a training to hear these great speakers and learn these great, sound familiar? The only difference is the organization we were a part of that time, they did events like this every Saturday. Every Saturday. Oh, and I'm going to go on a limb and say the speakers were nowhere near the speakers you're seeing here today. Every Saturday. Nor do they feel they need to change their content every Saturday, right? And every Saturday, for years, I'd go into these trainings, and there'd be this one part where they say, okay, take out a clean sheet of paper and draw a big circle. And then they'd say, okay, we're going to talk about why you're here. And then they'd sit there and ask the questions, why are you here? What do you want? Right? They'd say, remove money as an object and time as an object and just write everything that you want out of this and why you're really here. Every freaking Saturday. And it starts off as what's, right? Like, and you know, Jake's probably dying. Am I accurate, Jake? Am I accurate? Jake was one of those freaking speakers telling me to draw the stupid circle every freaking Saturday. And it started off, I mean, come on, I was 19, like 18, 19 years old. I was like, I want a Movado watch. I remember that was like the dream. You know, I want a nice car. I want to graduate college with all these student loans and all the stuff that you'd imagine at someone 18, 19. Start with a lot of what's. And then over the course of time, they'd ask, okay, well, why do you want that? Well, why do you want that? Well, why? And over the course of time, it provided clarity for what I was really trying to do. But it took time. And you guys, I'll be honest, what went through my head every freaking Saturday is what's going through half of your people's heads right now. You're like, oh God, all this goal-setting stuff, personal growth, he's going to go off on a... I was like you. I didn't listen. I did it, but I didn't listen. I didn't take it seriously. Until one day, something happened, totally flipped my entire perspective. Side tangent story. I had someone in my organization, and his name was Gabe. Jake knows Gabe. Gabe calls me one day. He was in my organization. He calls me one day really, really excited, like hyperventilating on the phone. Blake. What, Gabe? Slow down. He's like, you know that book you told us to read, right? Your first year network marketing, that book and that story. How many of you guys believe reading's important, right? I believe that those that don't read have no better advantage than those who can't read, right? The rest of you guys will figure that one out later. Okay. But there was this book, and I don't recommend writing this book down. It's old, it's antiquated, but it was the book that I was having my team read at the time, your first year in network marketing, and there's this chapter in the book called The Cinderella Story. And it's all about this woman in the middle of the United States that was a housemaid. It was a housemaid for a top income earner in the network marketing direct sales industry. And how one day she'd watch him and watch him and watch him and watch him. And one day she got the courage to ask, what is it that you do? Is this something I can do? And you guys can guess the end of the story, the Cinderella story. She ended up becoming one of the top income earners out of all time within this selling channel, the Cinderella story. So I'm like, Gabe, yeah, I know the story, man. I told you to read the book. He's like, yeah, you know that Cinderella? Her name's Kathy. Cinderella. I'm like, yeah, I understand. She's like, she just called me. I'm like, what do you mean she just called you? She just called me. Gabe was a really creative recruiter. He spent his weekends going bookstore to bookstore to bookstore to bookstore, sticking flyers and business cards in all of the business books. So anytime someone was reading, like, oh, divine intervention, right? And they give Gabe a call. Half you guys just wrote that down. That scares me. I'm scared for all the bookstores in the radius of Northern California. Okay. Turns out this lady went to a bookstore to buy this book for someone in her team. She flipped to the chapter and she found Gabe's card and she called Gabe. And she's like, she wants me to come over. I'm like, wait a minute. Protective upline, right? Wait a minute, you're not going over there without me. We're going. And sure enough, it was true. Went over to her house, never forget it, San Diego, California. And there's cheap applause. Okay, here we go. San Diego, California. You guys know the place, over the hill overlooking the bay, right? Where San Diego, guys, amazing skyline. Right, you can see downtown San Diego all overlooking the bay. Come on up, this giant, giant house, still vivid in my mind. You can see these lion statues on both sides, and we sit down, and sure enough, we meet this amazing individual, and we sit down, we have this conversation. And in the middle of the conversation, she's like, have you guys ever done a dream circle? I'm like, oh my God. You know, yeah, they tell you to draw a circle, and they say, hey, make a dream board and make it visual. I'm like, yeah, every freaking Saturday, right? So we walk upstairs. True story. She's like, you want to see my dream board? Okay, let's go check this out. We go upstairs. She goes to her office, pulls her desk drawer up, pulls out this plastic baggie, opens the plastic baggie inside a crinkled up piece of paper. She's like, this right here was one of the first things I found and put on my dream board when I was just getting started decades ago, right? Middle of the United States. She's like, this was a photo of a master bedroom and view that I one day wanted to have. She's like, come with me. And we walk out of the office, up another flight of stairs to the master bedroom. So we're walking into the door. She pauses. And just before we look into the door, she holds up the old magazine clipping. And sure enough, the image that was on the magazine was the actual view of the bedroom we were looking at. And some of you guys may think, oh, well, she designed it based on what she saw. Nope. She moved from middle of California all the way to San Diego when she made a bunch of money, ran into a random real estate agent. First week in searching for houses, the real estate agent shows them around to a bunch of open houses. She walks in to this exact house. Her jaw drops because she was standing in the exact same view that she'd stared at for years. That next Saturday, I was writing and writing and writing and writing. I was like, I'm going to do all of this, dream board, whatever. I was in. Right now, I'd like all of you to take out a clean sheet of paper. I'm not even joking. Right now, I want all of you to take out a clean sheet of paper, and I want you to draw a big circle. If I can get some music playing, and you guys, for the next 60 seconds, I want you to write. I want you to write, and I want you to write. Put yourself in that exact same situation. Money's not an issue. Time's not an issue. Why are you here right now? I want you to write. Have fun with this. Guys, I wish we had time to hear what everybody has on their piece of paper. Here's my challenge to you. Spend time on this. Don't wait till you meet a Cinderella out of a book to see their house and their dream board before you take it seriously. Spend time defining why you're here. And you guys, I know how this process works. Half the stuff on your circle, it's going to be a bunch of whats. And you know what? That is okay. Start with the whats, but ask yourself why. And then when you give an answer, ask yourself why. And then when you get an answer, ask yourself why. Until you really get down to the core of what you want and why you're here. Guys, you figure this out. You figure this out. I'm not just telling you how to make $1 million in VI. I'm not just telling you how to go out there and become a global ambassador. I'm telling you how you wake up every morning and it's a different level of living. You don't hit snooze 82 times on the alarm clock. You go to bed at night fulfilled, you're grateful, you're gratitude, because you know what? That day you lived your purpose. It's a different level of living if you figure this out. And most people, guys, unfortunately, they will be born and they will die and they will never realize what the point of the dash in between ever was. I challenge you to spend time on this. Spend time on this. Visualize it daily. Make it visual. You guys, it changes everything. Well, Blake, why do we challenge prospects? Why do we enroll new customers and promoters? Are you challenging prospects and enrolling new customers and promoters because you're going to get a bonus on Monday? Or are you challenging them because you know what? They may be that next Nathan. They may be in the situation where they have a mother at home that they want to stand up for. They may be that parent that wants to provide for their kids. They may be searching for a solution, and you have that solution, and all they need is an invitation. Why am I going to help them with the getting started training? Why am I going to do a challenge party? Why am I going to help them hit Rising Star? Well, because Jason O'Toole told me that Rising Star Factory every 7 days. I want to go out there and become. Yeah, guys, that's how. And that's important. But why? Because that person might have just spent the last $500 they had. And they may be saying, this is it. This is it. This is my decision. That may be the decision they made. They may not tell you that. But you know what? Now it's your job to make sure they get started correctly. They're taught correctly. They're given the correct path from day one so they have every possible advantage to succeed. That's your job. That's why you enrolled that partner, put them through a getting started training, help them have a challenge party, and help them become a rising star. Do you get it? Do you get it? Why do I go to these events? You know, I just heard our leaders talk about Louisville, Kentucky, right? Why am I going to go to Louisville, Kentucky? Because I'm sat out here and I said, oh, I can win a raffle? Or because you want to surround yourself with people that are living a lifestyle that you deserve to live, and you want to learn from people that are out there making it happen, and you realize that in a single moment, that aha can happen in your brain. In a single moment, that decision could be made. And that one decision from that point forward could radically change your life. And putting yourself in that environment in Louisville, you might get that aha moment, and you're not going to get it sitting at home on your couch. Maybe that's why you're going to go to Louisville. You guys, I'm telling you, everything changes if you start with all the other stuff falls by the wayside. All the other stuff falls by the wayside if you know why you're here. And if your why is attached to the vehicle of everything else, guys, it's become so insignificant. Rejection. How many of you guys have dealt with rejection already in promoting the challenge? The rest of you guys, you'll get it today when you try to challenge somebody when you leave. Oh, it's so bad, it's so painful. No, it isn't. If you know why you're here, at the end of the day, guys, we're not trying to sell anyone on anything. All we're trying to do is find people who believe what we believe, who want to go on the mission that we're on, who want to go out there and make an impact. And if that's not their belief and that's not their mission, that is okay. It has nothing to do with you. If your why is big enough, rejection doesn't matter. Distraction, man. Do we live in an ADD world today or what, right? Squirrel! Have you guys just started paying attention? What's he talking about, huh? Shiny object over here, distraction over here. It's like people cannot stay focused. I think the whole world's an ADD epidemic. Be amazed of how many distractions there are when you don't know where you're going and don't know why you're here. You'll see them everywhere. On the flip side, you get clarity. All the noise, all the clutter, all the distraction all around you. It's amazing how all of it falls by the wayside. Blinders on. Rhino vision. Rhino vision. Reason I say rhino vision, guys, rhinos do not have peripheral vision. They can only see one point right in front of them. That's their target. When a rhino charges, they are lasered on one point. They can't see anything else. Rhino vision. If you know why you're here. Doubts. This one gets the best of a lot of people. Negative self-talk. I'm not good enough. I'm not one of those people. I'm not smart enough. I'm too old. I'm too young. I don't know. Yak, 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 yak. Those of you guys that are wondering, voices in his head, what's he talking about, voices in his head? That's the voice that I'm talking about. Know why you're here. You won't let that negative talk get the best of you. I don't know if I can go to Louisville. I don't know if I have the money. I don't know if I have a babysitter. I don't know. I don't know. You don't know why. Problems. Probably my favorite one. I get two types of conversations, I guess. I get the conversations of thank you for changing my life, and then I get the conversations of all people's problems. It's amazing. I know in a matter of seconds where that person's going and how fast they're going to get there. It's not your problem. It's not your problem. See, people think their problems are their problems. Your problem is not your problem. How you respond to your problem is the problem. Everybody has problems. Watch. Honest poll, honesty check. Be honest with me right now. Who is just coming out of a major problem in your life right now by a show of hands? How many of you guys, as we're sitting here in the room, you have a problem going on in your life right now by a show of hands? The rest of you guys, you have a problem right around the corner, I promise you. We call that life. I don't care what you're going through. I don't care how bad it is. I don't care how bad your upbringing was. I don't care what your parents did, what your school teachers did. I don't care what job situation or financial situation you're in right now. I don't care. You tell me all of your problems, I can go find someone in the exact same or worse situation than you right now that is waking up every morning and making it happen, because your problem is not your problem. If you know your why, everything else falls by the wayside. If you don't know your why, everything gets in the way. Start with your. Guys, there are only 2 points I wanted to get across here today. One is to challenge you to figure your why out. This guy hasn't even talked about a shake yet. He didn't even talk about a deep BMW. He has all that stuff. You got amazing trainers all day long giving you the hows and the whats, which are phenomenal. You need all of that. But start with, that was my one mission. My only other mission out here is to make you understand why now. You guys, this is a really, really unique moment in time for Vi. This is a unique moment in time for Vi. And I don't think most of you even realize the seat that you're sitting in right now. Do you guys realize 52 days ago, we launched an entire new message, an entire new brand, an entire new campaign? 52 days ago, we launched the Project 10 what? The Project 10 what? The Project 10 what? And a lot of you guys have seen these slides. Oh, it's a new tip of the arrow. It's a new challenge. It's a new message, right? But you don't understand what we just did. You guys see, this isn't the first time we've done this. Matter of fact, it's the third time we've done this. 9 years ago, we came to market, and it wasn't about a shake. It wasn't about a product or a challenge. It was about a concept of a Vi pack. There's actually some people in the room. They were BC, before challenge. And we had a good run off the Vi pack, and then times change, shift happens. And then in 2009, we launched this concept called the 90-day challenge. We put on a new tip of the arrow. We launched a new campaign in 2009, and it was a pretty good tip of the arrow. Matter of fact, we took an idea of a 90-day challenge, and we mainstreamed that idea of a 90-day challenge. I'm proud of 3 million transformations, right, over the last couple years. I'm proud of $1.5 billion, right, over the last couple years. But you know what? Time for another shift. We mainstreamed it. I walk into any gym these days. I'm seeing 90-day challenge. You got prizes. You got this. I walked into a freaking Panera Bread a couple months ago. A Panera Bread, and they had their new 90-day challenge. time for a new shift. You guys, this year, in this moment, 52 days ago, we launched our third iteration. From scratch, brand new, the Project 10 Challenge. And I don't think a lot of people realize what just happened. How many of you guys, the first Apple product you had was a Mac computer? They were a computer company. And then they decided to launch their second iteration. It was called the iPod. How many of you guys have an iPod by a show of hands? Wow, a lot more. And then they decided, you know what? It was time to launch their third iteration, and they came out with the iPhone. How many iPhone users? Wow, a whole lot more. Vipac was our Mac. 90-day challenge was our iPod. The Project 10 Challenge, we just launched our iPhone. Brand new, first mover 52 days ago is the seat you're sitting in. But Blake, no. The iPhone is so much cooler than the iPod. It does all this different stuff. Well, you know what? The Project 10 Challenge is a whole lot cooler than the 90-day challenge ever was. We took 4 years. You guys don't believe me. 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 No. 2009, when we launched the 90-day challenge, we had a shake. Now we got shake and crunch, right? 2009, 4 challenge kits. Now you got 7 challenge kits. 2009, virtually no products beyond those kits. Now you got a whole pipeline. We had a 30-day money-back guarantee. Now we have a. We were only a weight loss category. Now you got all the fitness and active and buy models you saw on stage. We got regional and national champions. Back then, we're like $100,000 in prizes. Now we paid over $100 million in prizes. Back then, back then, we're like, here's a shake, I think it'll work. 3 million transformations later. Back then, we were celebrating 100,000 meals donated. Now we're at 4 million meals donated. Oh, wait, no, there's more. Back then, we had to sell. Now we just. Back then, we had to train. Now it's 3 for free, stars and. Back then, man, that marketing was horrible. I don't know who did all of that back then, but now we got 5 languages, our own brand tools, all kinds of technology, world-class operations. Back then, you'd call our call center, you'd have to wait on hold for 40 minutes. Now, last year, they did $40 million in sales on behalf of our promoters that you got paid for. Now we got a lifetime challenge bonus, a brand new bonus on top of a comp plan that paid out $600 million. We're up to $1 million bonus. Oh, there's more. 5 years ago when we launched the challenge, nobody knew who we are. Now we're the #1 weight loss and fitness brand in North America. Over a billion. Say it like it's cool. Say $1 billion. Say $1 billion. Say $1 billion. Over $1 billion in foundation behind us. Back then, no documentation. You guys heard the facts today. 18,000 BMWs, 34 millionaires, battle-tested leadership. Guys, dare I say that right now, the Project 10 Challenge is the best opportunity that Visalis has ever had. How many of you guys can believe that? Guys, you're sitting in the seats of a few hundred people that represent the entire West Coast. You think what we did with the 90-day challenge was cool? Watch what happens over the next 4 years with the Project 10 Challenge. You guys, we've had 3,000 people lose it so far this year. That's 3,000 people that joined the challenge, submitted their video, lost 10 pounds, submitted their video. That's 3,000 Project 10 kids
that are going to be impacted in the first 52 days of this year, and we're still getting this thing started. What happens by the end of this year when that's up to 50,000? What happens when the 3 million that we did in the last 4 years turns into 10 million over the next 4 years, and that's millions and millions of kids that we're making an impact on? What happens? What happens, guys, in the future when the minute you click that submit button to get your t-shirt, you got a text message of a photo from one of our charity partners showing you the image of the kid who your results are going to go make an impact on? What happens when you log in? When you log into achallenge.com and you're seeing a virtual map of all the people that have lost it all over North America, Europe, eventually Asia and South America, and you're seeing all of the losses and all of the kids, all of the impact we've been able to make. What happens when people say 5 years from today, oh, you're with that Project 10 challenge? Oh, that's that thing where millions and millions of people have lost weight and helped millions and millions of kids. Yeah, that's that thing. I'm not only a part of it. I was in the room when that thing launched. I was there. I aligned my why. I took massive action, and I'm one of the people that made that impact. Guys, I challenge you. I challenge you. I challenge you. Recognize the seat you're sitting in. Tie your why to vi. I challenge you. What do you have to say? 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 Thank you guys very much. Woo!